What is good everyone, Magnus, Bulkan here, and in this video I'm going to be going over my daily routine for building muscle. So I'm going to be going over my nutrition, my supplements, even recovery, my workout program, basically everything I do within the day that has a goal of building more muscle tissue. So let's get into it. So my day usually starts off at 7 a.m. on the dot, and I just do my morning routine, then I do some work for a few hours, probably some editing or something similar, and then I have my first meal roughly like 3 hours later at 10 p.m. And before I get into the actual meals, let me just give you some context as to how I'm going about my diet. Well, I'm not following a strict meal plan. I do have different meals each day, but they are very similar though, because I like to keep them simple for just convenience sake and also to save time making the meals. But yeah, I'm following a lean bulk approach where I'm basically eating in a slight calorie surplus, roughly a 5% calorie surplus, which means that you have your maintenance calories, which is what you need to eat in order for your body to maintain its body weight, and then you add 5% of those calories on top of that, and bam, then you have rough lean bulking calories. So that's roughly my calories, 2,700 at the moment. And I'm also making sure that I eat enough protein for the day, because the two main factors when it comes to your diet for building muscle is going to be calorie intake and protein intake. So I'm eating roughly twice my body weight in kilos, and I do like somewhat track my calories. I roughly estimate it in my head, and I'm pretty good at guesstimating calories because I've tracked calories on my MyFitnessPal for a few years now. So I am like kind of tracking my meals, but also kind of not, because I'm just doing it loosely so that I don't have to drive myself insane by logging every single meal every single day. I would much rather prefer a meal plan, but the reason I'm not following a meal plan, which is to pretty much eat the same foods every single day, is just because I live at home and my parents usually make the dinner, and I don't get to say what the dinner is, so I just gotta like change my day slightly to make it fit for the dinner. So that is the reason for that. But now let's get to the meal. Well, for the breakfast I had today, that was 2 bread slices with 2 eggs, also some light cream cheese on top of those bread slices, with a bowl of oatmeal on the side, which consists of protein powder, milk, and strawberry jam, because that makes it really taste nice. A pretty simple breakfast, but I do still enjoy it though. I'm pretty hungry now though, so let's just jump right into this meal. And for that meal, I also got a glass of water with some creatine on the side, because I usually take my creatine in the morning. Is there a specific reason for that? No, it's just that it's easy to remember to take your creatine first thing in the morning. And since I briefly mentioned protein powder and creatine, let's just quickly cover what supplements I'm currently taking during my lean bulking phase. Well, the first one obviously is going to be protein powder. Very basic. A lot of people think it's more than what it actually is, but no, it's just isolated from food, so it's no better than quality protein sources you can find in foods like meat and dairy. But it's just a lot more convenient, it doesn't take as long to make, and also if you find a cheap brand, it's actually cheaper than protein from regular food, so that is why I strongly do recommend it. And the other supplement that I take is creatine monohydrate, roughly 5 grams a day, and that is going to increase the water within my muscles, and it's also going to make me produce a bit more energy and get a bit stronger in the gym. And there is one more supplement that I take prior to my workouts, and that is BCAAs. Psych, nah, don't take them, throw them in the trash, they're so useless, a waste of money. But the one that I actually do take is citrulline malate, which I'll talk a bit more about right now. So we're about to head off to the gym right now in a minute, but before that I'm just going to take some citrulline malate as my pre-workout, even though it's not really a pre-workout. It's basically one of the main ingredients in pre-workouts though. It gives you better blood flow from the L-citrulline, and a combination of L-citrulline and malic acid has been shown in a few studies to actually increase bench press strength. But I won't say that it increases it a lot though, it's just like a very small percentage. But it's really cheap, probably lasts for almost half a year, so really inexpensive. Also added just some zero cal flavoring to make it taste good, and bonjour. So I do take like 15 grams of citrulline malate before my workouts to increase my blood flow and potentially strength. I probably wouldn't take it if I didn't like record for YouTube and all this, so it's definitely not necessary. But if I can get that small boost for a really cheap buck, I will take it. So yeah, my gym bag gets super full when I'm heading off to a leg session and I'm recording as well. I'm bringing my camera, my tripod, my lever belt, my weightlifting shoes, water bottle, chalk, yeah, just a crap ton. Then I head over to the gym and I do that roughly at 11 a.m. even though I say 11 a.m. but I'm usually like late AF, but let's just pretend like I'm sticking to my schedule. And today I had a workout that was focused on hitting back and legs. So the exercises that I did for this workout was squats. After that, then I did Romanian deadlifts. I'm also not doing a lot of volume on my leg training because I'm recovering from an injury. And after that, I'm performing the Bulkan row, just a great row, which is kind of like a combination of vertical pulling and horizontal pulling to get the best out of both worlds. I will maybe talk a bit more about that in another video. Again, I feel like a narcissist just calling it Bulkan row, but someone else called it that because they saw me do it, and I like the name, obviously, because I'm Bulkan, you know. After that, I did a unilateral supported dumbbell row just to hit the back slightly differently. And after that, I finished off with seated hammer curls. That was today's workout. And I don't work out every day. You definitely shouldn't do that because recovery is important to build muscle and to gain strength. But yet the split that I'm following allows me to be in the gym 4 days a week. I recently tapered down from a 5 days a week split, which was upper, lower, upper, rest, upper, lower, rest, which hits the upper body muscle groups 3 times a week and the lower body muscle groups 2 times a week. I still think that split is amazing, and I have a power building program which follows that exactly split, which will be linked in my website down in the description, so you can check that out if you want to. It's not free though, but I do have a free beginner program. Enough shameless plug though. The split that I'm currently following is kind of like a hybrid between full body and push-pull legs, so let me explain. On Monday, it is full body. On Tuesday, it is rest. On Wednesday, it is a push day. On Thursday, it's a leg / pull day, which I'm doing today. And on Friday, it's a rest day. On Saturday, it's a full body day. And on Sunday, it's a rest day. And I swapped from the previous split to this split simply because it allows me to be less in the gym and still see good results, which I do enjoy because training has been pretty boring lately now that I'm almost every time training alone, and I do enjoy to have a good training partner to train with. So I do found that it's pretty boring to train, and also the other split didn't allow me to train legs with another muscle group. So, and I don't like leg days, sorry, but once you've been injured for a few years, you're probably not gonna like leg days either, okay? I did like him once back in the day, but not anymore. So yeah, now I can train my legs with other muscle groups, which I'm stoked about. And this current split that I'm following hits each muscle group 3 times a week, which is really great for strength. And when it comes to volume, I'm doing a good amount of volume for an intermediate like myself. You can see it right here. Pretty low on the leg training volume though, but as I said, I'm recovering from injury, so I'm not doing too much volume for my legs. And volume, when I say volume, I refer to weekly working sets and direct sets as well. And when it comes to the progression scheme, what I'm doing to actually see progress in the gym so that I do get stronger and bigger over time, well, I'm following linear periodization, which is a periodization strategy that is most commonly used in strength training, but that is why I'm also doing it for the main compounds. And to explain it pretty simple, it's basically that for each week I decrease the amount of reps while I increase the amount of weight. And that is a very good way of achieving progressive overload, because when you're a beginner, you can increase the weights pretty much after every workout, but once you've been training for longer and get stronger, you're not going to be able to do that. So to add other progressive overload strategies to make sure that you progress over time is really important. So that is how I progress on the main compounds. But on the isolations and for my other compounds, where my main goal isn't to gain strength but rather hypertrophy, i.e. gaining muscle, on those exercises I'm achieving progressive overload by using something that's called double progression, which means that first you focus on increasing the reps prior to the weight. So you have a rep range, let's say on the dumbbell curl, you have a rep range from 10 to 12 or 10 to 14, and your goal is to increase the reps over time throughout the weeks with the same weight. And once you reach the upper end of the rep range, then you can finally increase the weight and just repeat the process. And that is a really good way of progressing once you're no longer a beginner. But after my workouts, I also walk on the treadmill for roughly like 20 minutes, but my daily goal is just to get 5,000 steps, which isn't a lot, but for someone like me who's really sedentary and don't have an active lifestyle besides going to the gym, yeah, that is enough for me. Earlier this year, I literally only hit like 1,000 or 2,000 steps each day, and that is really bad. So I'm just making sure that I hit at least 5,000 daily steps. So I usually just walk on the treadmill, and if it's a rest day and I'm not going to the gym, I'll just have a walk outside for like 20 or 30 minutes. And after I've been in the gym for like 2 to 3 hours, then I get home, and yeah, I know it's a long ass time to spend in the gym, but it's mostly due to recording. This takes a while, so I hope you appreciate it. Once the workout is done, then I have to rush home to eat my post-workout meal because I have to hit that anabolic window. If not, all my gains are going to disappear and I'm going to be tiny. Nah man, like the anabolic window, that is a bro science thing. It has some truth because you should eat at least like roughly 5 or 4 hours from your pre-workout meal. So if you're training fasted, then you definitely should like have a post-workout meal ASAP. But if you've had a solid pre-workout meal, you definitely don't have to rush to the post-workout meal because the food takes a lot longer to absorb and digest than what we actually thought before we had all of this current research. So yeah, you definitely don't have to consume your post-workout meal ASAP, but why not? You know, it's not gonna hurt and it can potentially help. So I'm just having my meal once I get home ASAP. Okay, so for the post-workout meal, we got a extremely basic meal, but I'm lazy right now and I'm going to eat dinner in like 2 hours, so yeah, I'm not gonna have a big meal now. Just an apple and 2 slices of bread with butter and 2 slices of ham on it as well. Can we just admire how red this apple looks? What the f? Okay, so apparently it's red inside. I don't know if I'm gonna die or not. I don't know what's happening, man. I thought it was an apple. Now, why am I having such a small meal after my workout? Well, it's simply because I usually, yeah, it's not that long until dinner is, like after I get home from training, but I do want to have something after my training though. So it's just a small meal. It doesn't have a ton of protein, but my dinner is usually packed with protein. So I consume most of my protein during that meal. So I just wait for that. And then at roughly 5 p.m., then we head over to the next meal, which is going to be the dinner for today. And for today, the meal was fish cakes with peas on the side and pasta on the side and also some sauce. This is a really great meal. Again, I'm not really like stubborn at all when it comes to the dinner food because I don't even make it, so I feel like it's completely fair that I don't get to have a say in what it is for dinner. If someone makes me dinner, I'm thankful for that, so yeah, I'm not gonna complain. So this is a really healthy dinner though. Let's get to the 4th meal, which is going to be my last meal for the day, and that is going to be a thick with 3 C's smoothie bowl. Let's just dig in. High in protein, tastes good, bada bing bada boom. That's the shit. I've made this like almost, I wouldn't say every day, probably like every other day for the last 2 weeks, and I really enjoy it. And it also has a lot of protein because I slam like half a tub of cottage cheese in there, and cottage cheese is a really great source of casein protein, which is the slow digesting protein type, which is perfect before bedtime because you're probably not going to eat within the time frame of like 10 to 12 hours after your last meal. So that is why I like to include slow digesting protein in that meal, just to keep muscle protein synthesis levels elevated throughout the night. Doing stuff like this, like making sure that you eat slow digesting protein before your bedtime, before you go to bed, this is definitely not necessary. Will it have an impact on your physique? It's impossible to say how much because it simply hasn't been tested or done enough research on it yet. So it potentially can have a small impact on your physique at most. or it might not make a difference at all. So yeah, this is definitely not something you have to do. This is just something that I do. Just make sure that your daily protein intake is hit and you're eating sufficient calories. Those are the main important parts when it comes to your diet. I'm always getting out of breath. Can you hear this? Whew. And by the way, something that I'm doing, and it can potentially help you to fall asleep faster as well, is that I'm not eating the meal directly before I'm going to bed, because that is going to make my body temperature warmer, because I'm going to be digesting the food more when I'm going to bed, which is not good if you actually want to fall asleep. So that is why I'm having the meal roughly like 2 hours before I'm going to bed. And even though this was my last meal, I still do something else at the end of the day to make sure that I'm actually building as much muscle as I can and recovering properly, and that is sleeping enough. This is probably the most boring point, but this is also the most overlooked point. I just cringe every time I see someone want to spend money on a useless supplement and they still sleep like 5 hours or maybe 6 hours a night. Like, your sleep is going to do so much more than you possibly can imagine. It's going to boost testosterone if you are insufficient in sleep, and it's also shown in studies to not only build more muscle but also preserve more muscle compared to people who sleep less. So sleep is actually going to build more muscle if you do it habitually. So it is just really important. So I go to bed 11, or I at least try to go to bed 11 p.m. every single day, and then I wake up at 7 a.m. as well to roughly get like 8 hours. Again, I try to. I would say I, for the most part, get around like more closer to 7 hours of sleep instead of 8. But again, I don't feel like 7 is bad, but I definitely do notice that I'm just being more productive, having more energy, and that I can perform at my best when I'm closer to that 8-hour mark. And like 7 to 9 hours of sleep, that is where most people should fall into. Again, like, sleep is such underlooked, but it's going to increase your testosterone, it's going to increase muscle protein synthesis as well, and it's going to make you recover a lot faster so that you can perform better in the gym, so that you can do more volume, which is going to result in more muscle and strength. I just have to nail this point down to you. If you really are serious about changing your physique, get your sleep in check. It's really important. So I really hope that this video gave you a picture of what I do within a day to build muscle. Again, this is like so summarized. I could go way more in depth about pretty much everything, but I just wanted to give you a quick overview of everything I do to gain muscle. So yeah, I hope you liked the video. If you did like the video, please like the video, and if you didn't like the video, dislike it and tell me in the comments. I can't talk. Tell me in the comment section below what I can do better to improve. My name has been Magnus Bulkan. Please subscribe if you haven't. Ton of great content coming. See you soon. Bye. Bam. That's a weird flex. Why don't you do like that? Goodbye.